Chilling.
Duncan, it's nearly showtime. Can you put that down? What is that?
A really big squid.
Are you ready for drinking? Drawing? What about laughing? Well, hold on to your butts. It's the ComX Friday Night Drink and Draw. With your hosts Sizzle and Spedsy, and the man they call Quit, plus Australia's most attractive artists and creators, many of whom have books for sale at comx.shop. Hey, Sizzle? What say we start the shizzle?
Man, I hate sheep, eh?
Wow.
Nicely done, Rob.
Wow.
The Friday Night's Drink and Draw brought to you by ComX. We're here, we bring together artists from all over Australia to draw a character of our special guest. But this week, we're doing something special. We've got a special guest host, Haydn Spurrell. And each of our artists are going to draw an Australian character of their choice this week.
Yeah, I get the night off. Hayden's going to be filling in and asking some hard-hitting questions of myself. Quick Nick next to me.
Hello.
Lauren Marshall.
Yo.
And Gary Challoner's brother, Harry Challoner. We got Dave Dye. Lee Chalker. Ben Sullivan. Nick May. And, of course, he of Chimera, he of Rick McClune, Hayden Spurrell. How you going? Take us away. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Rob. I'm nervous. I've never been on this show before. You're all like seasoned veterans at this point, and I watch most weeks, and now I'm on it, and I'm horrified. So I don't think I've met everybody here either, flesh or otherwise. In fact, who haven't I met? Lauren, I don't think we've met. Gary, we haven't met. Nick, I don't know if we've met. I apologize if we have.
Very briefly.
Yeah. But it's nice to know that Shane's here, which means I'm not the only person that doesn't know how to draw, so I won't have anything to present at the end. What's that? Are we getting an idea of who you're drawing? Everyone's drawing, or do we have to wait until the end?
It's up to
We
you.
can start, can we? Okay.
Yeah, well, it's up to you. So some people, like as you can see, Dave Dye's got his on show, but we don't know what it is yet. I don't know. Do people want to reveal, or do they want to?
I can talk about mine, but I don't know much about mine, to tell you the truth. But I don't mind talking about it.
What does that mean, Dave? You're going to find out as you go along.
Well, we're all here for a learning experience. Maybe we'll all learn something.
Hey, Ben.
Ben, we were talking earlier. Did you end up deciding who you're going to draw? Are you going to share it, or are you going to keep it a secret?
I think I'll wait. I know exactly what to do, but it's going to be shameless. So
the TV show, or
what's that?
the TV show?
Shameless? Is there? Oh yeah, no, not that.
Well, it's not Australian, so
Nick.
I.
Oh yeah, that's the stuff.
I thought yours was gonna be shameless, and I was like, yeah, mine doesn't have sizzle in it either.
It can be right?
An oldie but a goodie.
Lauren, congratulations! I saw you posted on Facebook earlier today. Your Talguard, should I say?
Oh yeah,
got published
It's been
on
a long time coming, that one.
Gary Bradley's page. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Is that the full story? Is that appearing in Talguard, which is the whole book out yet? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, so it's obviously, if you haven't seen Talguard at all, it's four-page stories written by Gary Bradley, and it's a different artist for each story, which is actually, I find really cool. Like, it reminds me of pantomimes. Is that for like a drama? Like, it's the chop and change. I don't think that's the correct term, but some characters like chop and change actors, very similar. So I think it's really cool just to see like artists doing their own interpretation of Talguard and the other characters as well. But having Justin Randall do the colors throughout the whole series kind of brings it all together and keeps it in sync. And it's a very smart concept But from what I know, it's going to print next month, and then it will be released as a book in January. So I think everyone can grab it. Issue 1's already out, and this will be issue 2. So
yeah, I've read issue 1. Have you seen any of what's in issue 2 aside from your own?
Well, they're all free to read on Gary Bradley's website. So I think most of them, Dean Rankin was one of them. There's a couple of other. It's the Invisible Man, Bubble Tea. I like to put Bubble Tea, not tea. There's a whole bunch, like it's a huge range of talent in there. It's definitely worth checking out. I think it's really good, like little portfolio for people to see what's out there, because the guys have actually like really just picked and choose either people that hasn't had enough spotlight and their talent just needs a little bit showing, like they just need a little bit of exposure. So kudos to them. They've done an incredible job with this project, and I was very, very grateful to work on it. So yeah.
What was it like working with Gary? I mean, I would love to be able to ask Gary himself what it's like to write, all these separate scripts for different artists. But what was the collaboration like with him for you?
I didn't actually get to talk to him very much. I was given a script from Wolfgang, and then that was it. I was just asked, like, can you draw this? I need it by now. It just need inks. That's it. And so, it wasn't really too much. Like, and I didn't really know Gary then. Like, this was maybe March last year. March this year. Sorry, that I started the project, and I actually redrew it because obviously everyone knows that comics don't really go to plan, and you got your life like throwing curveballs all the time. So it was delayed here and there, but I got to redraw it, and which was really good because I had learnt so much over 6 months. But it was only recently through ComX that I actually made connections with Gary. So it was really nice to keep tabs with him over the last couple of weeks before it came out, and seeing all the other stories come out. And it must be really nice for him to see like all these projects, all these other artists and collaborators come on board. Like that'd be really cool. Like really cool to see. Like
I get all my scripts the same way. Oh, sorry, Gary. I was just going to say that I get all my scripts the same way. That I'll be watching TV and I hear howling outside, and there's a wolf gang. Anyway, moving on. Sorry, that was worth interrupting Gary Challoner for. Anyway,
wow.
I've got a story in that second book as well. So Lauren and I are going to be between cardboard covers.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
The first volume looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really nice book. I was going to say there's kind of two types of collaboration in comics, isn't there? The ones like what you just described, Lauren, where you don't really have any communication at all, and then there's the ones that are really close collaboration. I think we've probably all possibly had experiences on both ends. Does anyone have a story? Rob, you've written and drawn on both ends. Like you've written for people that you've never spoken to. You've drawn for people you've probably never spoken to. Actually, that second one might not be true.
I've drawn commissions for people I've never spoken to, just like via email. Like like one that I did a few weeks ago was, hey, I have a business called Moose Mechanical. Can you draw a moose holding a spanner? And that's it. And then I send an invoice and send a moose, and we're done.
It's not quite coming up on your camera.
Can't see too good, but
oh
yeah.
Oh, it's a
blobbish-like shape.
Oh.
Potato.
Well,
What
not
do
a
you want,
toilet.
like me with stick
one
legs?
for Gary. I see Dave's not drawing a toilet either. Strike two.
Sorry, mate. I can put one in the background, maybe. I'll see. If I've got time, I will. Okay.
Yeah, I've obviously also coming off a massive collaboration with two of the gentlemen here, Lee Chalker and Ben Sullivan, for Ring Around the Rosie, which has been super collaborative, especially between me and Lee, like almost every step of the way, both writing and drawing. So both have their pros and cons. I guess it would depend who you're collaborating with. Like some people, I guess that you'd like to not have to talk to them, and then other people like Lee and Ben, it's been an absolute pleasure. So, yeah.
Well, comics is about fun, mate, isn't it? You know, so
Yeah.
it has been fun. It's nearly the first step of the way is past us now, so it's soon to be brought out into the open, and I guess the next step is poor old Ben's going to get a lot more bloody ear bashing from me over the next couple
That'd
of
be great,
months.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
Yeah. So am I,
have you finished your half? Have you finished your?
Well, Spedsy and Haydn have done final edits on the letters and stuff like that, and
Fantastic.
I've actually got a week to myself. The lovely lady Tam has gone away to her mum's birthday down south, so the next week is the 4-person, noir cover for issue 3, and Ryan and I have also had a yarn about collaborating on. I like to chuck in a big, whichever characters are in the comic book, sort of a drawing, so if there's 9, I'd do 9, usually ink it, but Ryan and I have decided that we're going to follow the same process, and I'm going to pencil all the people that are characters that are in Noir issue 3, and they'll be sent on Monday, so it's coming to a close as the first chapter, mate, so
fantastic.
Quite excited. It's been an awesome experience, man, for me. Someone who sits in his little room and doesn't apart from Friday nights, Saturdays, whenever he does my own stuff. Had the pleasure over the last couple of weeks of yarning to Mr. Challoner, having a gas bag, and I drew his character, the Jackaroo, the other day, which took me a bit.
Very nicely done too. Yes.
Yeah, cheers, mate. I was a bit worried about that one because I think I took a few liberties, but I wanted to, I guess, do me for your character. So I'm glad you liked it.
Look great.
I was a bit nervous about that one. I got a few nerve-wracking moments coming up over the next couple of months, but I'm ready to rock and roll. So it's some big challenges, man.
Those liberties you take,
mate, in the next couple of months. So it's like madly trying to study Ben's artwork and talk to him about how I'm attacking it and how he's.
I can't wait to see it, Lee.
And stuff.
Cannot wait to see it.
Yeah,
It's be awesome.
I'm good to go.
It'll be a strange mix. It'll be an interesting mix, seeing the way you do your line against the way I do pencils. Kind of different, but I wonder what will happen.
Well, Ben, oddly enough, I'm wondering what will happen too. There's probably a few moments, I might have to get in an oxygen machine when I first see some of those just to recover and stuff like that.
It's going to be great, mate.
It's going to be fun. And yes,
I agree.
Congratulations, Gary.
Congratulations, Gary. Well done,
Fully
mate.
funded Kickstarter.
Yes, the whole swag. Grey head after.
Well done.
Can you tell us a little bit about Adventure Illustrated, Gary? Now that it's over the line, it's 3 short stories that make up. How long's the book in total? Am I getting those details? 36-page issue each time round, and there's 3 stories. Cyclone Force, which continues my characters. There's Greener Pastures in the middle, and there's Red Kelso, which is a 1930s pulp-inspired strip at the back. So it's the 2nd issue, and that's going to hopefully be out early in the new year once everything's finished into the printers. I'm actually going on hold for a couple of weeks for the first time in ages and ages, so I didn't want to go pre-Christmas. So I'm going to go to the printers when I get back. So that'll come out early next year, hopefully. And then, roll on into issue 3. So, it's an anthology book with me at either end and Tim McEwen and Michael Michelandos's Greener Pastures in the middle. So I think that makes a really nice combo for a comic. So, it was
noticing with the Kickstarters that there's a lot of Australian Kickstarters at the moment, and I was a little bit concerned. You know how bands have second album blues. I was wondering whether Adventure Illustrated was going to suffer the same fate of the second issue. So
Spedsy might be able to fill you in on a few second album blues there. Hey, Spedsy, because we haven't heard from him for 10 or 12 episodes, but he was in a band once.
Well, yes, tell us about that, Spedsy.
Oh, please.
No, I'm good.
No, I'm good.
That's for the Strum and Sip show. Anyway, back to you in the studio, Hayden.
Well, we'll get back to your sophomore slump shortly,
Okay.
Rob. Gary, Adventure Illustrated is it's a Cyclone. It's being published as a Cyclone book. Is that right?
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Sort of tell us a little bit about Cyclone. It's obviously got a bit of a history, and it dates back to the mid '80s, mid to late '80s. Give us a bit of a rundown and how that sort of. Did you revive it, or is it sort of stayed around?
Well, it's essentially just an imprint name that I've kept alive since the 80s, basically. Yeah. Is that a martini glass? No, it's a tornado. Am I the olive in the glass there?
Yeah, you are. No, it's a tornado. And for anyone who's not sure, I've added a cow because if you're from the 90s, you know that twisters and cows are one and the same. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Cyclone has been through different vestiges or profiles over the years. The original run of Cyclone with Glenn Lumsden and Dave DeVries and Tad Petrakovsky. Then there was another iteration of 4 issues of Cyclone that published Cyclone Comics Quarterly that kind of morphed into the Dark Horse Down Under series as well. And that series allowed me to get back into the Flash Domingo and the Jackaroo series. And then there's this new iteration which started off with a reprinting and repackaging of the Flash Domingo and the Jackaroo story. And that flowed into new adventures with Adventure Illustrated. So that's the really short version. Seems how I'm still drawing, but that's the really small, short version of Cyclone Comics.
Well, it sounds like there's a long version because Daniel Best is going to write a book for us.
Yeah.
I think you also just taught us how to.
I think his book's about 18 pages long.
So far.
No, it's a bit longer than that. Yeah. So Daniel's book hopefully will be out very soon.
He really is doing
Daniel, if you're around, when's the book coming out, Daniel?
Yeah, let us know.
So but the book on Cyclone should form part of a series that Daniel is putting together that is basing each volume on a certain period of time and a certain group of publishers that were all operating around the same time. So the first one's about Cyclone and the different things that were happening in the comics industry at the time, and then other volumes will concentrate on other creators, other publishing houses, and the things that were going on around that same time as well. So it's too big a subject in Australian comics from 1979 onwards to really do one volume. So Daniel was smart enough to try and, or silly enough to try and break it up into volumes that made sense. So the first one, he'd already written a huge chunk of the Australian history of comics about the Cyclone stuff. So it was easy for him to knock that into shape for a volume 1 as a starting point. And I know that he's got many, many words already written about the Melbourne scene, about the WA scene, and what was going on at the same time in different periods of the years. Here we go.
Nice.
Sounds like he needs to be a guest on the show, Sizzle.
Yeah.
That'd be dig real deep into that.
We have spoken to him about being a guest interviewer, so if this goes all right, guest interviewers could be a thing.
Yeah,
true.
Jury's still out though, Hayden.
Hayden.
Yeah, no pressure.
On, mate.
I probably haven't asked you enough questions yet, Rob. They're probably going to be salty at the end.
Haven't heard one Devil's Toilet question yet, but
Well, speaking of Devil's Toilet, Duncan couldn't draw tonight, so he sent this special just for Spedsy.
No.
Oh my god.
Duncan.
Oh my god.
Horrific.
Make
Trying
it
to throw
Right,
a
man.
keep toilets out of this.
I think I've been
A few
there.
of those toilets in Townsville pubs back in the 90s, mate, about 4 a.m. in the morning, let me tell you. Ooh. I'll just pee in the car park.
What's your take, Gary, on the state of Australian comics at the moment? Then, I mean, you've been around long enough. I know it's just your perspective, but yeah, what do you think? What do you think of the scene at the moment?
I think it's pretty healthy at the moment. It's the healthiest it's been for ages and ages. There seems to be a continual growth of people hanging around and producing stuff more and more, and there's seems to be a ground level base of people coming into the scene that are learning how to do the basics and publish and distribute as well. So I think on all levels, and there's still some old fogies around doing their thing as well. So I think the scene is pretty healthy, and there's a nice swag of people getting overseas work for the big companies as well. So at different levels of production and creativity, I think it's as the years roll by, it's just getting stronger and stronger. I think we're starting to. I've always thought that the strength of Australian creativity, if you were to define it, is the difference in each of the projects that are produced. Like if you describe an American comic, chances are you're going to get superhero or adventure. If you talk about the English comics, you're probably talking about the Judge Dredds and the science fiction kind of stuff. If you're talking about the European comics, different countries have their different feel and style. But I think Australia is a little bit odd, and I like that in the fact that there aren't two projects that are very, very similar or a rip-off of each other. Everyone is different. Everyone is fairly unique with what they're presenting, and I think that's a strength of this country's output. Is the diversity, I think.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that you see that kind of diversity here as opposed to from what's coming out of America?
We're losing units, mate.
Sorry?
That's the short
We're
answer.
losing units.
Yeah, loose units. Yeah, I think
that is what you said. Sweet.
I mean, if people want to go, if a creator is burning to do a Spider-Man comic, the chances of them getting their art in front of an editor is much easier now than it ever was. But people just choose to self-publish and tell their own stories, and I don't know why that is. I suppose that happens to a certain extent in America and in England and Europe as well. There is this probably a level above professional publishing over there that is the same as here. That's probably the case. But if an Australian creator wants to work in Europe or England or the States doing that kind of work, the opportunities are there more now than they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. So I don't know why Australia has developed the way it has, but I'm not knocking it. It's just a bit of everything here, and I think that plays to the strength of if you're someone who's into comics and you're following Australian comics, there's something for everyone, and I think that's such a strength for local stuff, more so than a weakness. I think it's a great strength.
Yeah, agreed.
Totally. I mean, you just look at the variety that's in the room today. We've got Lauren, who makes loose unit stories for loose unit readers. We've got Rob, who makes toilet puns, apparently. I don't know about that. Nick, May, I want to ask you about how you create stories, because you have this just manic energy on the page, and it's almost like you're demanding that whoever's reading your story try and keep up with what you're trying to say. So, tell me how that comes about.
I might have said it before, Haydn. I think I mainly write for myself, and I guess one of the problems when you are writing for yourself is that you know where the story's going to go. So maybe I try and hide little bits of it, from myself, so I can be a tiny little bit surprised with what's coming. Most of my starts with brainstorms and sketches, and I think about like a standard sort of a plot, and then I think, how can I make it a little bit more Nick May? How can I infuse it with stupid references from the 80s or 90s or whatever it is, and pique my own interest in it. So yeah, I think there's probably a little bit of mania involved, Haydn, and I sort of like the mystery of not necessarily always knowing where I'm going until I get to the end. So
you throw in a few knickknacks into the stories.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm throwing in.
Dave, do you sort of share that sentiment, that idea of sort of writing for yourself first and foremost? I don't know if he's there. I can see he's. Yeah.
I'm here. I'm listening, mate.
There. Is that your approach?
Can you just run it by me again? What did Nick say?
So Nick,
what did Nick?
I'm listening.
Really.
He said a lot, but one of the first things he said was that he starts out and he sort of writes for himself first and foremost. Would you take that approach as well?
Yeah, I don't worry too much about what the reader. You still got to keep them in mind, I guess, but you've got to make it entertaining for an audience and have an audience in mind, an age group, that sort of thing. But generally, I write to entertain myself, and generally, like I've heard other people mention, I can't remember who it was now, but I laugh at some of my jokes that I'm putting into my story. I laugh at some of the little drawings I do of different situations. If I'm getting a kick out of it, I'm hoping that the other people that read it, eventually, if anyone does read it, that they will get the similar kick in it that I'm getting out of it.
Yeah.
And also, when I'm writing a story, I like stories that are, I like a bit of action. I like a bit of action in there. I like a bit of humour in there. So I make sure I try and put those in all my stories. Whether it's slapstick action or more serious action, it depends on the story at the time. I've just done a story for Vermouth, which was quite cartoony and a lot of fun. So that's slapstick action in that. Whereas when I draw a something that, like I did a story for, a more serious type story, it'll be more serious action with blood and guts and stuff that's probably not real humorous. So you got that variety, and you got your audience in mind while you're thinking about that.
Yeah. Well, you drew a story for the recently successful Rick McClune Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh no, I didn't write it. I just
no, sorry. Yeah, you drew one. Yeah. What was that like?
Oh, great. James Broadhurst wrote that story, and it is an absolute ripper. As soon as I read it, I said, "That's fantastic. I'm going to do this one, Gary. Let me do this one." Gary Della.
And I let you.
Thanks, Gary.
Good on you. Yeah, Gary Della sent it to me, and he said, "Yeah, mate. Okay, if you want to do that one, you can." I said, "Beauty," because it's a great story. It's told in the way that I would like to. If I wrote it, that's the story I'd like to write.
When you do write for yourself, what's your approach?
Well, basically, I sit down, think about it. I sit in the chair, and I might lay in bed. I might be in the shower. I might be, somewhere else in the bathroom. Just thinking and think.
Rob is looking for a
cleaning your teeth, isn't it? Don't give Rob the opening that he requires.
I'm not going to give him
I was just waiting for all the different. I wanted to hear what other rooms you think about things in.
Just use them all up in the shed.
Yeah, I was like the laundry didn't get a look in, but
if you're going for a drive in the car, I just went away last
The devil's
weekend
front loader. Fucking hell. The man chews left socks like there's no tomorrow.
When you're in the car on a long trip, that's a perfect time to just think about that story that you've got to write, and think the plot right through. And I can store it all in my head, and then pretty much go when I get a bit of paper when I finish, I can start writing it down. And I'll write it down in point form, like panel per panel, or no, not panel by panel. I'll write it down event by event. And so you might, and then I'll number each one, and then down the page as I go. So it might be open with a sentence, someone saying something, and that'll be the first thing I write down. I'll number it one. Then the next thing, and then then I've written it all out, so it'll be text and events will be individually numbered all the way down the page for numerous pages. Then I will group the little points into panels to make that what I think will be a panel. And then you don't want too much sentence. They might have one sentence and one action. There might be three speech balloons in the next paragraph, and one action. Of course, there's only one action per panel. So, and then I'll go through that. But I've also got to keep in mind that I finish on a bit of a page turner, and so you arrange. You may delete a whole panel or a whole section of those points, or rearrange them to somewhere else so that you finish. And that's how I construct it. It's quite easy for me to do it that way. I find it the easiest way to do it. It may sound a bit confusing trying to explain it like this, but if I had pictures and diagrams, I could show you a lot easier.
Well, to someone who writes full scripts, it sounds just insane to me. But the rules are there, right? Like you say obviously one action to a panel, but for a lot of beginning writers, they don't actually understand or realize that they're writing more than one action in a panel. It's so fundamental, but a lot of people make the mistake. I'm sure I did when I started as well.
I can't show any more without giving it away. Well, I can. What about?
I might have one example of it.
Crotch area.
Oh.
I'll hunt around my desk here and see if I can find an example.
Who are you drawing, Dave?
Else if you like.
I know who he's drawing.
Sorry.
I recognise her. Although I can't see yours, Gary. Sorry. Your camera's not bringing out the best.
A lot of ladies being drawn tonight.
It's all blurry.
I like bits of tease because you can just then. Oh!
I saw something for a second.
I keep thinking that the joke. I keep thinking that the joke is that he hasn't drawn anything.
Can you see anything? Is it coming up, or is it camera stuff?
Oh, kinda.
It's not
It's like a shark.
Oh, wait, is it Killaroo?
No.
If you can see how little we can see, so it's that's not a critique on your drawing. It's how little we can see.
How about if I take a quick pic on my phone and send it to someone?
Quick pic.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Send it to me, Shane.
Okay.
Just in case didn't know who was saying me.
Who's Shane?
Don't send it to me.
Sizzle.
So wait. So who? Sizzle, give me a clue. Who Dave Dye's drawing?
Well, her name is taken from the creature at her legs.
Wolf, Foxy,
what creature
lady, wolf lady.
Close.
It's a throwback.
Fox and hound.
If it's who I think it is,
really?
It is a. No, not quite.
I just had a guess.
It's an older character than that. Older, very old.
I don't know. My knowledge of old Australian comics is failing me.
All right. Here you go. Here's where are cameras here now? You can see that.
Ooh.
Is that Old Man Biscuit?
It sure is.
Here you go. See, this is a layout for a story.
Oh yeah.
This,
Hang on, I'll bring that up.
Oh yeah. No, it isn't.
right. Now this is a dropship 15. I've written it up there. Now this has been broken down to 14 pages. So this is going to be a 14-page story.
Oh, right.
To start with, I've just gone, what's happening? Well, actually, it may not be 14, but it's got, this is the events as they happen. So you can't read them, obviously, but that's what's going to happen in the events. Then I actually go through it again, and I start putting, I start doing the dialogue. This is number 69, but that's a 16-page story or something, I think. It was a 20-page story, this one. So this was up to 68. We got up to 95 little points before the end. So a lot of this I didn't use. I just discarded it because it was making it too long. There's rubbish in there. So this is just the bare bones of the story, the idea, the germ, as it comes to me, and I'm just writing it down as quick as I can. And
so,
see these lines here? Mm-hmm. That's probably a panel or a page. Probably a page. I've broken it down into pages. So that's page 17, page 18, page 19, page 20. So then each one of these I've decided is a panel. Some of those points, there may be two of them in the one panel. But you've got your dialogue and what's happening. So Fatty watches him. Fatty wraps bandage around Smithy. Next panel, Ocker approaches. How bad is he, Ocker says to Fatty. Next one, pretty bad. We better get him out of here quick. Where's Snake? That's it for that page. Now, some of those I might combine into one panel. Some of those I might just have at their own individual panel. I usually try and have about 6 or 7 panels, no more than that. Yep, that's my shopping list.
I was just thinking to really put Quick Nick on the spot, we should do a live reading of a script, and he has to keep up with sketches. For
wow. I draw it. I draw it out.
You know, I'll bring that up. I'd actually back Quick on that. If you gave him enough time, I reckon he could pull that off.
So then this is a different story, but this is drawn out. I've folded A5. This is an 8-page story, so I just had 2 A4s folded in half. Panel 1, panel 2, text is drafted in. These are my thumbnail drafts, etc. Some I don't do any because it's probably just talking heads or talking figures. Mostly it's the text and getting the panels in order and that. Something wrong here, so I want to put this text back over here. I just do an arrow. It's all rough and ready, but this is how it all comes together for me.
Nice.
Do you share that with anyone, Dan, before you start?
No, generally I just do it all myself and
cool.
Shut my eyes and publish and print.
Great.
Does that do your head in, Haydn?
No, well, actually, sort of the list sort of outline that Dave showed us, quite similar to how I start a lot of the time. It just so happens I don't, I go to a full script after that, and I don't draw anything.
Right, yeah.
That's Ben's job most of the time lately.
Didn't you do some layouts though? Didn't you send me something that you had some little sketches?
Ooh. Yeah, and I hope to God that they don't exist anymore.
They helped. They worked.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, nice to know.
Well, actually, Haydn, we've actually got some of those samples that Ben was lucky enough to send to us. So if you're watching the screen, you're right, mate.
Got him.
Got him.
Just going to need
I'd like to hear how Gary writes a story, if that's possible. Sorry, Haydn, for, you know.
Yeah, Gary Della's not on the show.
Yeah, I'm thinking Gary. I'll try Gary Challoner then.
Oh, how do I write?
Is it anything remotely like that, mate?
Yeah, I got a pretty upside down way of working, I suppose. It comes with scenes first that all get cobbled together into a larger story, and post-it notes, a couple of scraps of paper with storytelling notes marked across it.
Post-it
and I
notes
sit down
work
and
well.
begin. Yeah, for order of scenes and being able to create tension, and pressure points in the story. So I do a lot of that first, and then sit down and try and cobble it all together on the computer to make sense. It's not actually formatted in a strict format. It's just free-flowing thoughts. And if a scene starts to get dialogue placed in it, I'll develop the dialogue free-flowing again. If the scene's takes over, I'll just keep on typing a conversation out and make it work and edit it later on to work within the story. And then when I'm happy with the way the story is beginning, middle, and end, I basically put lines through underneath what I consider to be a nice point for a page to turn. So a line on a manuscript of gobbledygook text will define how many pages or what I've got to shorten or what I have to increase. And then that helps me lay out a page first, and then script is added afterwards to fit into how I lay out a page so that it's dynamic and interesting visually for the reader. So yeah, kind of an informal writing structure that is anchored in the artwork and gets refined with the artwork. And then the final script, gets done to the final art. Exactly.
I do have a question for writers, because obviously I'm not a writer. I'm sorry to ask a question, jump in here. But as an artist, like I sometimes wonder if I'm frustrating a writer because they may have a particular vision in their head. It hasn't happened, but is that something that anyone's experienced here in terms of something that you have in your head and then it's not sort of articulated by the artist themselves?
For me, 9 times out.
My perspective, because believe it or not, I write Battle for Bustle and Marathon with Tam's help, and I'm lucky enough that I can pick or choose. If I find a line or a scene or anything, I can visualize that. So I'm lucky, and then I can talk to Tam about it, and we can, adapt very much like what Gary does. Is like I tend to have lots of ideas for what I want to do, and we find the rhythm in those ideas. And generally, I know it sounds really weird, but I don't do a lot of thumbnails these days. I just have an idea and rip into the page, man, and have learnt to just edit and change and do things. And if I have to redraw certain things, but I always like to keep the original page, so there's not many changes. Writing for me is not difficult, but I tend to be a little bit more slow with my writing. I'm into older style of writing, and I'm very lucky that Tam can come along and just give it a refresh, let's drop this, let's drop that line, let's change it up, let's do certain things. I don't know. I've had the only experience I've ever had with another writer and doing their artwork is SPedsy, and I just found the best way around that was to communicate and just throw thumbnails and everything I was drawing. Like, mate, what are you thinking? Do you want me to proceed? Is this what's happening? Am I doing this? And yes, proceed to the next page. And that's how we sort of got around that. So, I mean, I'm only new with working with other people, but I've always found just talking and communicating and even bugging each other. Like, there's times where I've had an idea and text this poor bastard, 10:30 at night and gone like, dude, what about this? I'll change this to a smile because I think it'd be better doing this and this and this. And I'm sure Speds has got the kids to bed and he's just like, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm not, but I think communication's a good thing to do. Thumbnails are always good. I don't know. I'm organic. I just do whatever the fuck I got to do to get it on the page and get the story out myself, as best I can at that particular point in time. And only forward for me. I just learn from what I can do. If it doesn't hit, can't really spend that much time on it. I've got to, just go, damn, I might have missed that. I'll come back to it if it finishes, and I give myself enough time where I've got some breathing room. And then those points that I know I wasn't happy with, I can go back and fix up. So it's, I'm a bit all over the shop when it comes to that, but I like fluidity and just keep moving and just working it out. And then when all those involved give the thumbs up, then that's time to put it to bed and let it move forward and on to the next thing. So that's my interpretation of that.
Being a little bit fluid with a story is good too. It keeps the whole thing fresh from a creator's point of view. If you're hanging on to a story from the writer's point of view through to the layouts and art, it's good to keep it fresh and movable and not to lock stuff down as much as possible till the last minute. And it gives you time to be able to work out any kinks in the story, and you can tweak. So I like to do that as well. Yeah.
I'm writing mine right up to the last time, just before it goes to print. It'll change. It could change a whole bloody word balloon or something. The whole thing could change.
Yeah, they say that right up to the last minute, the thing that gets dumped the most is unneeded text, to sort of keep on cutting until the dialogue and the words on the page are as bare minimum to tell the story as possible, to allow the art to breathe and for the story to breathe as well without getting too bogged down.
Yeah. Fluid, that's the way.
Yeah, man, that's exactly right, Nick. Hey, just like water. Yeah.
Gary,
I'm not that fluid. I'm like an ice block.
I've got a question for you. I don't actually know this character.
Does anyone know this Australian character?
No.
Oh, no. Well, you're going to be educated.
TV show or something from a while ago, right, Gary?
Yeah, from the 70s.
Giant,
a guy called Tony Edwards used to run this strip in Trax Surfing Magazine. And it was a staple of my growing up, being in a beachside suburb of Sydney. A lot of Sydney of course. So you'd buy the surf newspapers and surf magazines each week, and at the back would be Captain Good Vibes by Tony Edwards, and he was a pig of steel. He was a drug-taking, adventure-going pig who had a little dog called Astro. And Danny best knows.
Sounds like a bloke I met back in the late 90s in North Ward in Townsville, mate. Pig of steel. Well, man.
Lee, I thought you would have heard of Captain Good Vibes. Come on.
No, I'm sorry, Gary. You got me on that one, mate.
That just shows how bloody old I am.
No, it doesn't. No, mate. No, it doesn't. It shows how uneducated I am, good sir.
Anyway, so there was Trax started out as a newspaper. So Captain Good Vibes would have these big tabloid-size episodes, 1 or 2 pages every single issue, and that was out weekly. And they would be very trippy, like the waves that he'd ride as a surfer. There'd be just psychedelic rows and rows and rows of perfect sets of cross-hatched artwork by this guy, and right down the bottom would be this little character on a surfboard, and it'd be Captain Good Vibes riding this perfect wave, and while he's sucking on a huge joint, and all these naked girls on the beach waiting for him with his surfboards. So it was quite a trippy strip. So an Australian character, old vintage. I do have just recently, in the last 10 years or so, Tony Edwards, or a publisher that he knew, has packaged together all the Good Vibe strips into a great big tabloid collection, and it's pretty amazing book. So worth tracking down if you're into that kind of thing. But now I've got to fill up the rest of the page. So who could Captain Good Vibes be interacting with?
It was interesting because you sent me a text saying, how rude can we get? What happens if a character has a bit of boob showing? That's why I was so perplexed. I thought maybe you were drawing just one giant boob when you first showed that guy.
No, well, it's past 9 o'clock now, so all the kiddies have gone to bed, and the alcohol's flowing. So it's going to be an AO drawing from me.
Sweet.
Nice.
Well,
Hey,
I'll just
Gary,
quickly,
what does that
before you
mean?
go, Hayden, I'll just quickly bring up some drawings because we've had a few come in. We've got one from Davo77. Nice little nod to. Oh, it's taking all the time.
Ginger Megs, nice.
Wow.
Oh, and
Yeah.
snake.
Yeah, and the
Wow,
snake.
he's got everyone in there.
Yeah.
Swamps there.
And
the
swamp
snake.
tails. Yeah.
Yep.
Well done.
And we got Dan May. Did a killaroo.
Ah, wicked.
Oh, yeah.
Who the hell is that?
Well done, Dano.
And then we've got a special one from Darren Close.
Oh, right.
Awesome.
Good one.
I'm a no duck.
Right.
Good on you, Dad.
And we've got a more modern
That
character
is
here
really
from
nice.
Robbie.
Hey,
Foes
Hey, they
themselves.
both,
Yeah.
they both got a
Nice.
donut.
Yeah, they must have split it somehow.
Oh,
Back to you, Hayden. Sorry.
I mean, I'd love to answer your question, Lauren, myself as well, as someone who only writes and doesn't draw. But I think that very much if you're going to be a writer of comics, you need to leave your ego at the door and allow the artist to interpret what you're saying. You can't expect them to be beholden to your, the sanctity of your bullshit. Like it's unless it's fundamental to the story that's being told, then that's a conversation that the artist and writer should have. But yeah, I mean, I can speak to Ben and I, who have done a lot of stories together at this point, and we talk endlessly, and the stories become something that
We pull it apart.
yeah, we rip it up and build it again from scratch, pretty much in some cases. So yeah, I think that, and I'm sure there are artists who have had horror stories where they've worked with a writer who's sort of made things difficult for them. I don't know, has anyone here had an experience like that?
Well, I haven't, but I would say, Hayden, that Mr. Sullivan is also a writer, so that would probably give some freedom to.
He likes to deny it.
No,
I'm glad to hear that other people. I'm glad to hear. Was it you, Lauren, that said you use Post-its, or Gary? Did you say you use Post-it notes?
Oh, I use Post-it notes. Well, no, Tanya, my writer, uses Post-it notes. We sat down and just sort of got all these ideas on Post-it notes, and we're like, okay, where does this sit in the arc or the storyline or over the larger arc? And you can just pin them and be like, okay, no, it doesn't fit here. It's going to go elsewhere, and you sort of tab it. I think it works well.
I think that's a great way. I did that with Rick. I made 32 29 Post-it notes and laid them out on a board and just wrote just on the Post-its as if it was pages, because then you can just rearrange all the pages and shuffle things around. You literally see where the beats are and literally see it there in front of you in one block, which is the only way I could do it. I don't think I could write from start then finish in a linear way at all. I envy that.
In reapproaching the Jackaroo story that I've been doing recently, I've had to back out of that and not just use it for storytelling, but also for the scope of what the Jackaroo has been through over his career in comics. And so I use Post-it notes on a wall to just write down important dramatic points in his life. So and points in the future as well. So it helped me map out his life, not just the stories that he was in, but his high points of his whole career. And it was really easy and helpful to do, to find out that, and then you remember things. And as you say, you can just insert, move a couple of Post-it notes along and insert a couple of events that you may have forgotten. And it's such an easy way to get a timeline happening.
I will.
There you go. Ask me a question about writing, huh? Yeah.
How do
It's
you
actually
write
not that
quickly?
silly. I mean, the guy has written 2 awesome Bungie books. So tell us something about how you do it, Nick.
My joke. I wasn't trying to set up more me time. That wasn't what I was doing. But there's a lot of bird puns. Yes, there's a lot of bird puns in Bungie. I've actually just got a list of bird jokes, and I try and write around how I can incorporate as many as possible. So there's plot lines just to get to a really good bird pun. So, but I'm not going to spoil any. I'm just going to buy my book. So
is your art full of feathering?
Say that again, Gary.
Is your art full of feathering?
Oh, not bad. That's going on the list, sir. Thank you.
I mean, comedy is hard. Has that always been your thing? Like, I don't think I've ever written a good joke in my life.
I write in my comic brain is that the joke's on the last panel of the page, and the rest is just set up. So it's like you laugh, haha, you turn the page. So that's my way of doing it because that's how comics and newspapers, the jokes in the last panel. Yeah.
Well, I don't necessarily think that's dissimilar to what other people I've heard other than for tonight talk about is like you have to have that page turn in it. So whether you set the page up through your panels and stuff and have the joke on the end so that people flick over on the page, that would indicate to me that it's very similar to a dramatic comic writer or...
Yeah, like it's all about trying to create timing, which you can't exactly do in a comic. But you're trying to do, 3 acts on a page. You set up the joke, repeat the joke, and then the twist, which is the premise of comedy. What is it? Set up, repeat, twist. That's kind of how comedy works in theory.
Well, I wonder if your page turn, should be a cliffhanger, then could that apply to...
Yeah, I wonder that. Actually, I think about it all the time. And a lot of the time I've heard Rob say he wants the page turn, the next page to be a reveal or something really cool. And I'm always thinking, mine's always set up. Mine's always starting the joke again. So I'm always thinking about that.
Interesting.
But then in Budgie, the last half of it, the last third becomes more serious. And I'll put a few jokes on a page and then it just gets to drama. And I'll try to think more like an artistic director than a comedian or something.
Are there, because you won't let us read it until the second issue comes out, is there real stakes in the book or is it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Are there feels? Are there any feels?
Yeah, I reckon in this next book, I'll show you the cover because I can do whatever I want. It's a little bit more dramatic in this one.
Yeah, that's looking good, mate.
Yeah.
I love the half toning. That's really smart.
That's awesome.
It's not quite finished, but we're almost there. So yeah, there's lots of jerks, but it does become, quite dramatic at the end. And there's a story and arcs. It's 81 pages, so there's characters are growing and changing, and I've tried to do that. So yeah.
When did you start it?
Probably last year, some point, but it's been really stop-starty until this year. I really knuckled down last half of this year, try and do as much as possible. And there we go. Thanks, Daniel. Don't know who that is.
That's wicked.
Wow.
Well, you do now, mate.
You actually saw
someone,
Nick.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Daniel's the Oz Comics historian.
Yeah.
Wait.
Aficionado of Australian comic book history, mate, is that gentleman.
The aficionado.
Sweet.
Aficionado.
Hey, good word. I like that one. I've never used it before. I'll probably never use it again. But, I'm glad I could nail it there.
It's a new
Your contribution to the human
language. You can use
language,
it whenever
mate.
you want.
The English language.
Thank you, Nick.
Nice
I'm
work,
right
Rob.
this evening. You know what I'm like.
Hey, Lauren, check this out. Look at the screen. Oh, too slow.
What did I miss?
Oh.
Yeah, what I miss?
Oh. Hey, I've got 2 coming for you guys. I've got 2 sketches coming.
2?
Got
There we
2.
go for time.
I can't even get 1 finished.
Nearly time up.
Right, Hayden, what do we got? Hit us.
Well, I want to know what Nick and Ben are drawing. I want a bit of a hint at what they've got going. They're just silently down there getting their shit done.
Well, Nick sent me a picture. I just got to finish what I'm doing here. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, it's on the hour mark.
So
Yeah, sorry, Ben. No spoilers from me.
Oh, no? All right. Well, you don't want to put it up, Nick?
I'll put up yours, Nick.
Hey.
Come up.
Yes.
Nice.
That's beautiful.
Aww.
I can't see
Everyone
it.
see it?
Shane.
Very good, mate.
Oh, try again.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Ah,
Oh, yeah.
Everything
Wow,
you
that's
imagine?
amazing. Who did that?
that's you, Nick.
Good.
I just saw your signature, Nick,
Yeah.
man. That's really cool. Look at that little
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
That little pigtail in the
Oh, I thought you dropped some pubes on the screen.
Yeah.
corner.
Some weird red ones.
We've got a return artist this week, Onion Sprout.
Hey!
Sprout.
Onion Sprout. Blinky Bill.
Lovely.
Blinky Bill.
Hey.
That's sweet.
Nice one, Onion
Thanks,
Sprout.
Onion Sprout.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
How good is
Thanks,
Onion
Alex.
Sprout?
I'm not going to get mine done in time.
I'll ask a question of
Rob,
the room.
Rob, now and Sizzle, it's only fair. We've discussed this before. There is injury time, isn't there? Because like my knee's hurting, and you know, we've got a couple of extra minutes added on, like the rugby
You're drawing
union team,
Of course.
Just lie down like Nick May does. You can get it done.
My mouth guard fell out earlier, and I can't remember my name. So I need another 5 minutes to get myself together.
Yeah, for reals. How much time do we have?
For
How
real,
much
we've
time
run
would you
out,
like,
but you-
Gary?
you've- How much time would you like? A few more minutes,
Another 5 to 10.
Yeah, sure. We've got to get everyone to send their pictures to me, and I've got to
Anything for
upload
you,
them,
mate.
so we've got time.
Gary, call injury time, mate. Call injury time.
How do you do that?
You just call injury time. You just say, it's injury time. I've got tennis
okay.
elbow. I need to see the physio for a minute. And everything.
Okay.
That's just between us, mate.
Okay.
I heard that.
Sizzle, can we get some injury time, please? I've done the elbow.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we better throw another 5-10 minutes in there then.
Oh, yeah, I need some vapor rub for 5 or 10 minutes.
Vapor rub on your elbow.
I need some iced tea on the other elbow as well. Look, I'm trying to finish here. Shut up for a second. Everyone, shut up. This is hard.
Can somebody ask Gary some more questions, please?
Oh, go away.
Bella's not on this show.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
my
know where
best-
the line is anymore.
That's my best Spedsy
Now I
picture, by
get
the
I
way.
don't know where
That's,
the line is either, mate.
I've nailed it. That's my favorite Spedsy.
I'm my favourite Spurrell.
I think it's
I'm going to have to change my
Oh,
signature.
I don't know what it is.
Gary, do you know how your story is going to end when you start?
Need a paper bag.
I had another pube joke, but it was too wrong for the screen, so I had to run off and just tell my wife quickly.
Good.
Okay,
Cool.
I'm going to
Well, I've got a
expand that
picture I
question
can
to
show.
the
We've
whole
got
room.
Lee from Whack Comics has sent something in. So this is a
Oh,
new
nice.
for us.
Yes.
Hey.
Oh, nice.
Can't see it. I'll do it again. There you go.
Oh,
Hey,
oh,
Lana Luca action.
Perfect.
Bubblegum and all.
there you go, Lauren.
Oh, it's bubblegum.
Nice.
Got it. Sure.
That's so
Cool.
Ah, good bit of fan art for you, Lauren. Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Wow.
Blushing.
Yeah, well, I'll expand that question to the whole room then. Does anyone here,
Oh.
do you write with an ending in mind when you start your story? As writer artists, do you know where you're going when you set off?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Who wants? I'll talk if no one else wants to.
Go for it then.
There's one, Lauren. I got you one as well.
Quite often
Yes. Keep long.
I'll start. Yeah, I might have the ending in mind, but that could change. If something else comes up better along the way, which sometimes it does, because my way of working is pretty fluid, it could change. Yeah, but not. probably majorly, but something else may come up. Well, I could be thinking. Actually, sometimes I find the last panel the hardest thing to do because that's the last thing they know yet.
You sound pretty unsure.
That finishes the story. That's the finishes the story. It's got to be a good one. What are you laughing at, Quick Nick?
Yeah, what are you laughing
Quick Nick's having a great old time up there.
He's having. I'll stop talking if he.
Is this supposed to be inked as well?
No, it doesn't have to be.
No,
I've never inked one of them in all the times I've done this, Gary, so don't stress about that.
Good, I'm
No one
going
told
for
me
the
that
heavy
rule.
HB.
That's the way.
I think Nick just quickly made up that rule, I think.
It's called the ink rule. So the quick ink.
Oh, the quick ink is it?
Quink. Ready? I'll spell it down for you.
I'm realizing why I like to do so much of this before the show. I'm trying desperately to get this done.
Well, Darren just sent one in as well. Darren Close sent in a more refined version.
Very good.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
Nice.
so lovely.
yeah, very good.
Bastard.
Spedsy, while you're trying to finish, you love an ending, don't you? You know where you're going.
Daniel is demanding full penciled ink, colours, and letters.
No. Just heavy crayon, man. Heavy crayon.
And backgrounds.
Mm.
Yeah,
Now what's-
To answer your question about endings to stories, for me, the story is if it's in a continuous progression about a character, it's like, oh, this is the story where he gets married, for example, and then everything comes from that. So it's like not necessarily an ending is thought of, but it's the story that has to have this, and this happen, and then a story is carved out of the marble, basically. But yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
Does
right.
that apply to you
Ending
then?
and work backwards.
Simpsons method?
What's that, mate?
Yeah, I'll probably have one or two stories in my back catalogue that have had an ending first, but that's just been more chance than anything else.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I start at the end. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I could work like that. I suppose that's sort of what Gary's saying. You know, it's got to be end up with a wedding or whatever. Person getting married, so that's working backwards from there.
And I haven't done this all night, Dave, so I'm going to do it now. Looking good,
What?
Dave.
Hey,
hey.
nice.
Hey,
Good.
very nice.
It's Dingo Lady.
Oh, and there's
Wow.
a toilet in the...
Hey! Put some eyes on that sucker and you're done, Dave.
I might leave it at
That's
that.
a background and inked. He's meeting the Daniel Best's expectations.
I better
How do you
write
spell
something.
espionage?
Bit of a plot. Lettered.
Right, what do you want these, Shane? Do you want these in Discord?
You can put them in Discord or email them to the email that I forgot to put up in the banner.
What it is?
There we go.
I got a
Better late
question.
than never, eh? Better late than never.
I got a question. So, like, there's a few writers here. Rob, is Devil's Toilet take place in Australia? What about
Yeah.
Lana? Where's that happen?
Lana?
Yeah, where does the story take place?
That's a good question. You don't know.
No,
That's the thing.
Which is
Thanks,
cool. So it's
Robbie.
everywhere.
It's just it's a
Thanks,
place.
Robbie.
So
Yeah.
mind you, in one of the panels in the first series, like there is a skyline which sort of like represents Perth a little bit. It's like a little bit
Oh,
of a going. But
Yeah,
it's not meant to be anywhere, so like anyone can be there, sort of thing. Like you know when you're like, look at Spider-Man, it's always in New York, and you're like, oh, I wish I was in New York, like whatever. But you can kind of this could be in Australia, this could be in
Yeah, totally.
I don't know, Nigeria, whatever.
Which is cool. The thing about comics is you can't really hear accents or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
It takes
Oh
you wherever.
well, you can in
Oh, you can in your work.
Ningo.
You can in slang. My oath, you
Good
can.
accent.
That's true.
Oh, okay,
With
this one's going to
Flash
make
Flamingo,
Spetsy very
the outer
happy.
space accent.
That's right, that alien accent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Spetsy, you ready?
What?
Oh, good one.
Lauren!
I see it.
Lauren!
Lauren, yeah.
It's just a quick one at the end. I was like, I'm just gonna do it's like 5 minutes. I was like, I'm just gonna do it.
I'll tell you what, though, it's a great story, but geez, it's a bad shot.
Now I feel bad that I was drawing Nick May's character. What?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
That's
so
worked
good.
out so weird.
I love it.
I was trying to get it finished, but now the cat's out of the bag. Or the rabbit demon-y lady. Jackalope.
And Lauren did 2, so here's our other one. Is it
Oh,
Telga?
oh,
Yeah.
Cool.
It might as well on the day. But
All right. Who is it?
100%.
Awesome, Lauren.
Oh,
That's
God.
fantastic.
Oh,
Who's
yeah.
that?
Wow.
Okay, I'm scanning mine and I'll send it through.
Okay, cool.
Who is that? Lauren?
Telgard, so
you go. I want in on this. Betsy
I love
love.
that. That's amazing. I actually really love that. That's wicked. Can you keep that? I want to put that on my Instagram.
I'll keep them all.
Telgar.
No, Dave, Telgard came out. It's by Gary Proudly. He does it with Just.Comics in Perth.
Right.
They do
Next
that.
time, I'll send it to him.
His name.
Yeah.
No, it's good. It's an excellent drawing. You'll love that.
Lauren said earlier that there were a lot of women being drawn tonight, but Spedsy, is the Devil's Toilet a male or a female or?
Toilet, actually.
Funny you should ask. So in issue 4, he's going to have quite the.
We just said he, so.
Transition.
Yes, I did. They are going to have quite the existential crisis as to where he's. So his arms came from this guy, his brain came from that guy, his eyes came from that guy. So who is he? Who is they?
That's rad, man.
Yeah, I got to get his pronouns sorted, but
Ben Rob's stolen our premise for our next Moose story.
What was that one called?
I sent you a picky, man.
The Devil's
Yeah,
Microwave.
just found it.
Yeah.
Hey, it's like looking in the
Oh,
mirror.
it's G-Devil. It's toilet.
Toilet.
Same lips.
We haven't seen.
Yeah, those were your lips, Lauren. I looked at yours when I did that.
We haven't seen what Ben's doing.
I was on a bit of a roll this week with a certain person that's on the show, and I've collaborated with someone else who's on the show, so I decided to mash 2 characters.
Oh my god.
Segue.
Science experiment.
I can't see that.
Really.
Oh,
All
Hey!
right. Toilets and.
that's cool.
Oh, me and Gary are dead, though. We don't get to enjoy it.
And old Morton.
That looks amazing. There's
Wow,
Crypto on
man.
his wheels. Very
Oh.
nice.
Right.
Yeah, we can
Thank
sleep
you.
when we're
That's
dead.
awesome.
Yeah.
Gee,
No, I don't know who that is. Can someone tell me?
Nice.
Morton,
Well, that's
Morton
Mr.
Stone.
Allen's
Crypto.
character, Morton Stone, the Undertaker.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
it's your toilet in the back behind it.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
toilet.
good.
And the dingo.
With his zombie dog that rolls around on a little wheeled platform and etc. and gets up to a lot of mischief.
Yeah, he's totally stuffed, that dog, and he's been nailed
Oh,
to
yeah,
a plank
he's
with
on
some
wheels.
wheels, and he gets
That's
wheeled
right.
around, and Morton Stone
That's
thinks he's still
awesome.
alive and talks to him.
Love it.
That's wicked.
Hey, Sizzle, I've sent mine through, and it's past 10 o'clock, so it's adult only, and my one is a little bit naughty. So have you received that yet in the art room?
Yeah, just got it. I'm just downloading it now.
Suspense.
It takes a
Another
while to
character no
download
one's
it, then
heard of.
upload it. So here we
Yeah, it
go.
Whoa!
Oh,
Holy good blood indeed.
Whoa!
Good vibes.
Whoa!
Beach from.
Now I know why they call you Good Vibes.
Oh, what a ripper.
Shame on you, Gary. Shame on you.
Yeah.
Remember to like and subscribe to ComX, everyone.
That's a
Agreed.
ripper.
So two
Send
classic
all
Australian
complaints.
characters from the 70s. I don't think they ever met, so they've met now.
Oh,
They've
Yeah.
met.
Bet now.
Have
Okay.
they-
Send all your mail
Biblical
to Gary at Cyclone.
They haven't met face to face, mate.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah. Well, I said I'd be shameless. I've got 2 Kickstarters going. Am I the only one that's done my own work?
Wicked.
And Bruno
That's
and
awesome.
Maggie with Horrorwood with DK.
Wow.
So cool.
That's awesome.
Ray
Ben.
gun to a gunfight.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Hold up.
That's a
Ben,
ripper,
you're
mate.
freaking
Well
me
done.
out there, man. You are freaking me out.
Amazing.
You okay, Lee?
I think that's.
No,
that's
no,
it,
I'm
isn't it?
all
Go
right.
back to the
I'm
comments.
all right.
So,
It's
what?
just that the next month or two is going to prove very interesting.
Oh no, Leo! It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Oh,
Yeah.
someone else has sent a pic. There we go.
All right, Hayden, you got a question for somebody? While a few more things. Oh, wait, just before you do, my thing's just uploaded, so I'll shamelessly put it up on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good, Spud.
Yeah.
I love it.
Awesome,
So
Rob.
good.
Okay.
It's great.
Yeah.
We
We've
never
got
get-
one uploading from Brad here.
Hey, we got.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Oh.
Good one.
some torn
Nice.
action.
Oh yeah.
No, I can't.
Who's that? Who did that?
Would that be Brad
Pickersgill? Is you pronounce it Brad?
Pickersgill? He had a yarn. G'day, Brad. He had a yarn to me the other day, actually, and was really encouraged by everything that's been happening on the ComX Friday night drinking draws and stuff, and said he'd love to one day be able to ply his wares on the show. And
Cool.
Right.
That'd be awesome.
and he showed me some drawings and stuff, and I said, "You keep going, man. You reach out, like you keep doing your thing." And he's doing his thing, so it's like, good on you, Brad. Well done, man.
Thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fish that had trouble breathing and was pick his gill to get the bits out, but that's not the case.
Did some lettering.
Good try
on
there,
that.
Spedzy. I'm impressed. There you go, Spedzy. There's the answer.
No,
Oh, hey, let me go to my portal. Hang on.
You got it?
I reckon I do. Hold on.
nice work, Dave.
Yeah. Vixen came up in some of my research when I was looking up Aussie comics, actually.
Gerald Carr.
Mm.
And he's
Oh,
from North Bayswater.
Boom! Oh, man,
there is no North Bayswater, Dave. There is only Bayswater North.
Ah, right. Well, okay,
There you
well,
go.
that's where he's from, mate. Yeah,
Nice
I've got
one.
that one. I think I've got that one. This was my reference, this one here.
Now, Dave, you know
Oh,
who
I'm
else lives
having
in
a
Bayswater
portal.
North?
Love
Yeah.
having a portal. Dave, you've set the portal trend, man. Seriously. There you
I
go,
would,
Nick.
yeah.
And I've been down many portals before.
Please
Don't
don't
you
open
worry about it.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, fellas.
Not sure I ever came back, but I'm here
It's a
anyway.
different Lee each time that comes back.
That's right.
So I live in Bayswater North, Dave, just down the road from Gerald Carr, and I wrote a comic book, and Gerald Carr did the cover.
Oh, did
Oh,
you?
So
All right. Good on him.
trying to get Gary
Yeah.
Della to move the Reverie headquarters to Bayswater North, and we're going to slowly take over the world.
Why is
Sweet.
your screen not very focused either, for some reason?
I think it's
No one
internet
wants to see me
connections
in
that do it,
HD.
Dave.
You're all blurry, mate.
What about now?
Yeah, you've been drinking, haven't you?
I'll drink you in a minute. What? All right, where we
I
at?
think that's everyone. and I haven't got any new emails, and no one sent me a message saying they've sent an email. So I think we're done.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much. This was really cool. Thank you, Haydn, for coming in and being our guest host. And thank you to all the artists for their great.
Do you want to do a go around the room thing, Sis, or you got somewhere to be?
Me? Oh no, sorry. Just too many comments coming in. You can if you want.
What?
I'm just gonna pass it to you because I've got too much going on in the background.
Right. Well,
and over the blurry ball.
Do we have a little something? I'm sure we do. Now I'm looking in the background. Hayden, vamp for a second.
What do you?
This is half around.
As many hosts as there are artists, and it's going all wrong right now.
Hey, here's my picture of SPedsy taking over the world. There you go.
Thanks, quick Nick.
Yes.
Yeah, SPedsy's hair tonight is particularly fun to draw. It's almost Ace Ventura-ish. It's fantastic.
Easy.
It looks like a Superman.
Go on, show us that. Look at that beautiful natural curl going there. And a haircut.
I'm trying to think of it. What does he? Ace Ventura, man. That used to be my favorite movie. I can't remember a single part of it. I was going to try and do.
I couldn't tell the difference between the caricature and the real person. Then,
right?
But yeah, as you may be aware, fine viewers,
hang on.
we do boast. We do boast. What?
We forgot one thing.
No, we haven't. I'm about to do it right now.
Oh, you're doing it now. Okay, sorry.
We like to boast that we on this show we have the most attractive artists in Australia. So this is the part of the show where, you know, this is this week's nominees, the top 10 most attractive Australian creators. But then we have to narrow that down and find out who is the actual hottest. And for that, we summon the talents of Alex Major, who has drawn an Australian character called the Cat.
Oh, Dave's not interested.
Oh, Dave's leaving. He doesn't want to be part of it.
Here we go. Here we go. Oh,
I'm noticing a pattern here.
Cats don't lie, guys. Cats don't lie.
Oh, yes, they do, Rob, especially around food time. Let me tell you.
Felix the cat. Well done, Alex. What a great way to end the show.
Awesome, Alex.
And
what a great way to continue the show.
This poor person is looking through the newspaper for info on what projects our artists have been working on. And this lost individual is using a map to find where she can follow our artists on social media and buy their books. How about we save them the trouble and just tell them? We call this next segment Shameless Self-Promotion.
So it's that time, Sis, where we go around the room and everybody says a little something what they've been up to. Did you want to say something, my friend?
Mine's nice and quick. ComX.shop. That's where you can find some of these people's books, and more books are being added to the catalogue. We also have prints and digital books there coming slowly into the catalogue. So yeah, ComX.shop. Check it out.
Sweet. I just wanted to give a shout out to Peter Fairfax, a brilliant artist who just finished penciling and inking and lettering our Larrikin and Just #1. I've sent that to my little shadow council to give it a read, and then it'll be off to Gary Deller and off to the printers. And I'll give a shout out to Mr. Ryan Bella and Lee Chalker, who also in the last week wrapped chapter 1 of Ring Around the Rosie. It's been an absolute pleasure, and 2 projects that I can't wait for the world to see. You can find all my toilet chook turtle-based shenanigans at psychogenitor.com. Quickless.
I've already done my little shout out, but hey, let's do it again. Detective Budgie's on its way. We're not far off. I'll be pushing hard when it's ready, and you'll know all about it then. Thank you, Lauren.
You can find me on socials at the Martial Arts, MARSHALL. Talgard Signet Ring came out today, which was an epic 4-page story with Jess.comics. Please go have a look. It's epic. It's free, which if you haven't seen Talcard at all. And also, if you haven't signed up already, Lana Luca issue 2 Blood Ties is coming out in January on Kickstarter. So sign up for the pre-launch page or you will miss out. I'm just going to say it. Gary, go!
My Kickstarter is still going. It has about 10 days left to go for the second issue of Adventure Illustrated. You can go straight there at adventureillustrated.cyclonecomics.com.au. And the other thing to keep in mind is that I've also got a little bit of a podcast happening at the moment as well called Club Domingo. And there are 2 shows there, one featuring Darren Close, the other featuring Tim McEwen. And that's at clubdomingo.cyclonecomics.com.au. Thank you to Haydn.
Just to answer your invite quickly, Gary. Yeah, I'd love to be on the show whenever you want, mate.
I mean, that's awkward. He just
my next guest will be Daniel Best.
Oh,
Cool. Ask him
so
about
episode 4 is open. You say? Oh, I see. Sorry, Hayden. Go.
Yeah, sorry, Hayden.
You can follow me at Hayden Spurrell on Instagram and Facebook. At the moment, working on an anthology called Satellites. Too many creators involved to lift them off here, but that's coming out really soon. I'm looking at a New Year release, so keen, and I'll start posting things very shortly.
Right.
Dave, take it away.
I've got Amazing Tales on Facebook if you're looking for something. Also, Owner Indie sells my books, and also ComX Shop sells my comics and books. So be sure to get them. I contacted a few comic shops this last week, and hopefully they will reply. Impact have said they will take some comics of mine in Canberra, Mailbricks, and Brendan at D's Comics have said they will take some of mine, so that's good. They're both in Canberra. I've contacted Alternate Worlds. Is that right? Yes, but I haven't heard anything back. And also Jay, who was on the other day, on Saturday at Drop Bear. Hopefully they will respond positively, and we'll be able to get them in Wollongong and Melbourne then.
Sweet.
That's it for me. Don't forget the Kickstarter's going at the moment. In case anyone forgets, we got our mate. Who have we got?
Darren Close.
Darren's got one going. Darren Close.
There's quite a few.
Gary Dellum, Rick McLean.
Gary Della's got one going.
The Apparition, that's going still as well.
Yeah,
that's still going.
Still going, I think.
Bronwyn, yeah.
Bronwyn is going.
The Gorilla My Dreams, I think, is that still going? Yeah, that's still going. There's about 10 others, 15 others, 100 others.
There just has to be a link that lets you know about all the latest Australian Kickstarters.
Good one. That's very good.
Look at that
latest
classic sizzle.
ComX. What a website.
You want to know something? Sizzle's got a link.
Yep. All right.
And it starts with
a
ComX.
link of sizzle.
Enough from me. On to Lee.
Woo. Well, in the next couple of weeks, Mr. Sizzle and I will probably be doing a little bit more work on Battle for Bustle issue 4, which is currently in proofing stage and getting ready to print. Spedsy, myself, and Mr. Vella have Ring Around the Rosie coming out, and ComX presents Noir issue 3. I have Marathon Part 2 coming out in ComX presents Noir issue 4 in the near upcoming future. There's a Battle for Bustle trade paperback being put together for the new year to be coming out with the 4 combined issues and multiple extras. You can see original drawings that I did from 1995 and 6 and 7 of layouts and character designs and stuff that will be out in the new year. Mate, it's got a wonderful delight in being able and being asked by Mr. Ben Sullivan to ink his work on part 2 of Ring Around the Rosie, which will hopefully be coming out in a future issue of Presents Noir. And a little something that Mr. Valor and I have tucked up our sleeves, which Rob is privy to, which could be quite interesting coming up in the next couple of months. And Ryan, being Ryan, is working, I would say, vigorously to get these things done. So we like to work. I like to work, and lots of stuff happening in the new year. You can get Battle for Bustle on battleforbustle.com, ComX shop, and all things ComX. So
what a
onwards
smoothie.
and upwards
What
for
a
everyone.
smoothie.
So, there you go. Ben.
Yeah, well, I've got 2 Kickstarters that I'm part of. This. There's Retro Sci-Fi issue 10 is coming out. Oh, it's 5 days for the Kickstarter before it ends. So check that out. And there's also Rick McClune 5 issues Kickstarter going on at the moment as well. I'll stick with those. So those 2 Kickstarters right now. There's also, so 1 second, Stunt Rock is also for a sale as well. That's another work with Darren Kozel. So check that out if you can as well. That you probably see that on the Kickstarter possibly. But check out those ones. DK Retro Sci-Fi issue 10.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nicholas May, take us home, buddy.
Sweet. Okay, let's go. You can find me on Instagram at Chernobyl. At the moment, I'm allegedly working on my 7 pages for Vamoose 3. I just redrew. I redrew a panel. That was a sneak peek. Apparently, technology doesn't like me. I'm about to start school holidays in a few weeks, so I think I'll be starting to get back on top of my Vamoose 3 pages. So everyone can look forward to an announcement about that potentially early in the new year, Rob, maybe?
Yeah. I can't believe you haven't graduated yet, Nick.
And
How long have you been going?
Most of the kids in your class that have a fringe, Nick. I mean, it's the same in my class, mate. I mean, like they're styling and shit. They got the Brill cream happening, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, what? Brill cream? No one needs that.
Vapor rub on the fringe.
Absolutely. My ears cough. Yeah, it's fantastic. It burns, though. It burns.
Wow.
Got to put it in the right places.
That's right, mate.
Thank you very much, Haydn.
Don't trust that goanna oil, Nick. Don't trust that goanna oil.
Thank you, Haydn, for joining us. We'd love to have you back another time to get to know everybody here more. Thank you, Quick Nick, once again, for being as quick as you are. Thank you to Gary Challoner, Lauren, Nick, all the Nicks, Dave, Lee, Ben. It's been an absolute pleasure. And, of course, the man who hosts us every week, every day almost, Shane Siddle.
It feels that way.
Sizzle, my friend. You're awesome. ComX.shop. All right. Cheers. Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much.
No.
Thank you to you all. And
thank
you for that, because I got a bit sidetracked in the comments. And so I guess that's us for the night. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you for watching, and see you next Friday. Same ComX time, same ComX channel.
Nailed it.
Let's go.
Bye.
Press the button.
Well, we drank,
Press the damn
we drew, we talked nonsense. Now it's time to say goodbye. Don't cry, dry your eye, for there are many cool comics you can buy. ComX.shop is full of comics from a bunch of the creators you just watched. Amazing Tales by Dave Dye. The Devil's Toilet by SPedsy. ComX Presents featuring Ed Kearsley, Tony Manzi, Duncan Pranavicius, Peter Wilson, Lee Chalker, Zach George, and so much more. The list is longer than this outro. See you next Friday for more drinking and drawing. Alright Sizzle, press the button. Sizzle? Sizzle, press the damn button. Sizzle you turkey, press the goddamn